Goldie Pond, the first time we see demons truly terrified of humans. Let's get into this shit, bro. I watched season 1 of Promised Neverland and instantly fell in love. I've never seen a series that unique with a premise that different. I fell in love with it so much that the first song I learned on piano was Isabella's Lullaby. Dropping that bitch soon, stay tuned cuz. But anyway, let's get into why Goldie Pond is one of the coldest arcs in anime history. Let's get it, bro. It was extremely refreshing. I've never seen an arc like Goldie Pond. We're thrown into the mess of things just as lost as the characters. We view the world from the perspective of Emma and Ray throughout a lot of the series actually. Since we're thrown into this world we know nothing about, it's really cool to see how these very intelligent children go about solving things, because you have to remember they're children. So some of the decisions they make won't be the most efficient, but it's really cool to see how, since they're children, their imaginations bring them solutions that I think an adult would never go to. But before we get into it, I like to set up why this arc is so cool and why the whole series is cool in general. It talks about how humans are very similar to demons. I feel like Promised Neverland is an allegory of how humans act and how we have been kind of destroying our world or running rampant unchecked on this earth. The whole story felt like satire poking fun at how humans live their lives. With unchecked communism, we get a story like Animal Farm, and with unchecked human ambition, we get a story like Promised Neverland. It painted a very grim picture of how unchecked demons are in their world and how unchecked humans are in their own world. Promised Neverland almost makes you second guess even buying meat from a store. Those animals caged and fattened up to just be sliced up in front of their own family and then brought to our table so we can enjoy. The meat factories of humans paints a really dark picture of how we are in many ways like demons. The human meat factories in Promised Neverland put a lot of emphasis on how morally gray we are as humans. Since we are fighting for our own interests, it makes it morally okay to make meat farms and cow farms and just chop the niggas off and chop them up and make a burger. But when we take a look at Promised Neverland, they put a different spin on things to make you really think and make you kind of self-reflect on the reason your life is so good is because some other organism's life is so bad right now. Right now, it would suck to be a fucking pig or a fucking cow, my nigga. Nigga, I be killing them burgers, my bro. I be chewing them burgers like them shits did me wrong, bruh. Nigga, I would chew on a piece of bacon like that shit. Like that shit owe me lunch money. Nigga, I'll be buying the fuck out of a bacon strip, bro. The reason why we're living so good is because we're doing other species so fucking dirty. And I like how Promised Neverland kind of brings that to light in a very not in your face way. Like, my nigga, imagine being a chicken. Like, bro. Nigga, I do a chicken wing filthy, bruh. I'll do a chicken wing filthy. Imagine being a chicken. So imagine the same thing being a human in Promised Neverland. Them niggas do you filthy. My nigga, you are on a t-shirt because the demon got hungry. I like to set up the Goldie Pond arc. It's very comical because of the scenery and the music. It's dressed as a place meant for laughter and enjoyment of humans, but was really the devil's or the demon's playground. When the Kitty Jolly music started playing, it created a very off-putting feeling, similar to the feeling you get when very happy music is played during scenes of complete chaos. This jolly amusement park type of music that's played before going hunting Goldie Pond gives you a very off-putting feeling, very eerie feeling. It's like when we first figured out about Trisha, the dog, and the chimera. So if you know, you know. They arrived at Goldie Pond thinking this is the land of milk and honey, but it was literally the devil's or the demon's playground. Every smart kid who had the brains to break out of their farm ended up here, and every one of them failed. And Goldie Pond was our first way of scaling exactly how special Emma, Ray, and all the kids were. It allowed us to step out of Gracefield Class X. The reason I say Class X is because we don't know exactly how many generations of kids came before Emma and Ray who were like Emma and Ray and wanted to escape. And it kind of helped us break out this bubble and see how truly visceral the world is and how really small Emma and Ray are. Because there's so many kids who were smart enough to even get there before them and have been stuck at Goldie Pond for years. And they're way more experienced than Emma and Ray, but they were still stumped at Goldie Pond, stuck trying to figure out. Ironically, the salvation was back at home. It was really cool to see how a lot of other farms were fighting the same fight they were, and that they weren't truly alone, that they had camaraderie elsewhere outside of their farm. And it also showed that Ray and Emma were late to this fight. There was people at Goldie Pond for 13 years. There's people at this Goldie Pond for years actually, who just could not figure out what was going on. But Emma and Ray did hold a lot of the puzzle pieces that were needed to actually progress this fight towards freedom that all the kids had in trying to liberate the farms. It was a very humbling experience to see how Emma and Ray were seen as gods to us or goats, but they didn't really know shit. When they got to Goldie Pond, they were seen as the newbies and they had to learn the ropes extremely quickly, or they would have been literally dead meat. Cool to see how they had to learn the ropes in this totally alien world all over again. It showed that the series had way more layers than we initially thought. And it was really cool to see how all this played into the bigger plot, or the bigger backbone of the story, which was Minerva. How his good intentions were to lead kids to salvation, but it probably in reality led a lot of kids to their demise. Think about all the decades of generations before them that broke out reading the books, but ended up at Goldie Pond, weren't ready for it at all, and ended up on a t-shirt. Like, they were probably extremely similar to Emma, Ray, and Norman, and because of one mistake, their lives were claimed at Goldie Pond. But Goldie Pond tells a much more dark side of the series in general. The fact that Goldie Pond was getting an infinite supply, or an endless supply, of these very, very high value pieces of meat, it allowed the demons to know that there was some reason why the cream of the crop was always ending up at Goldie Pond. Pretty much the link between Goldie Pond and Minerva's plan of salvation made the choosing process extremely easy for the poachers, or the demon poachers, that were at Goldie Pond. And of course, because of the promise that was made, it made it illegal for demons to hunt humans, so Goldie Pond was illegal altogether. So it showed so many layers to the series that weren't even delved into yet. And it's quite possible that the books were placed intentionally inside these farms to make sure that the smartest kids participated in this quest for salvation, to later end up entertaining the demon's sick, demented game. Goldie Pond is very similar to the safari of Africa when we think about it. If you are a gazelle's natural enemy, you're not catching that shit. An animal may be faster than the gazelle, but gazelles are way more agile than any other animal. They go like 50 miles per hour this way, instantly cut and go 40 miles per hour the other way. Gazelle hit you with a 1-2, hit you with a 1-2, hezzy, then go left, nigga, you are done. Your ankles are cooked. So you could think of these kids as that gazelle. They're so thrifty, cunning, and frugal that chasing these kids would probably won't even be the best option for these demons. So you're not going to catch a gazelle. So the best thing for you to do is just to hide by the gazelle's water source, wait for it to start drinking, and then hop on it then. The gazelle was drinking from a pond, and the lion striked. Goldie Pond is this pond, and the children were going to the drink in a sense, and the demon striked then. So when they first enter Goldie Pond and the music starts playing, they are then taken under the wing of other kids who know what they're doing. Now they start constructing plans on how Emma and Ray hold the real secret to how they can survive, because they're really the only two who really know how to fight the demons. Demons really saw themselves as invincible or completely superior to humans. And the death of Nomu was one of the most humanizing points for the demons. It is the first time that we saw true terror in the demon's eyes. And Goldie Pond was the first arc that allowed us to see that. The look in Nomu's eyes when he finally figured out where the humans were aiming for was something that really stuck with me. And the depiction of Nos when he is crying over the death of Nomu is another thing that really stuck with me from this arc. But we cannot forget about my nigga Leuvis. Leuvis' setup in this arc was legendary and would never be forgotten. This is probably one of the best setups I've seen of a villain who later turns into a hero, because he's the one who later exposes the injustices of the monarchy by the monarchy withholding the eternal blood and kind of controlling the human food source, is always using the idea of turning wild as a scare tactic to control the masses. Leuvis not only saved the human world in a sense, but he also saved the demon world. A lot of people were starving, but he's the one who spread out this eternal blood to where they'll never have to rely on human meat to stay in their human form or in their most optimal form. And Musica, being the most human out of all of them, is really cool that her blood is what was needed to keep everybody in their human form and make them never have to ever rely on human meat as a source to keep their optimal form. Goldie Pond was one of the biggest build-ups to one of the greatest plot twists I've ever seen in manga, was Norman being Minerva. Goldie Pond was tough. Goldie Pond was one of the toughest arcs I've ever seen. I may have to go back and reread that shit one day. The pacing was perfect to me. The characters that showed up were essential to the story, so that was perfect. Each character got enough screen time to make whatever action they made hold a little bit of weight. Goldie Pond is a really fitting name because it was a really golden arc within this whole series. This was the stage that kind of set up a lot of things that would happen in the future, and a lot of things that happen here played into the full ending of the series. This was extremely fun to make. Promised Neverland is one of my favorite series of all time. I have a lot of favorite series of all time, but Promised Neverland is definitely one of those. Promised Neverland was extremely fun to read and extremely fun to experience. The only sad thing is I hear the anime is not really going full canon anymore. I think they're going off on their own thing. I recommend anybody who knows anime only, please tell that nigga to read the manga, bruh. You are starving yourself of probably one of the best series of all time. Make sure you subscribe so you know the next time I drop any type of Attack on Titan, Promised Neverland, Claymore, D. Greymon, Villains, whatever I'm gonna drop, you gonna know. I'll see y'all when I see y'all, man.